All right, 7:14. It's actually been 30 years since charter schools were supposed to allow for innovation and individualism in the classroom. But the question is, has it worked? Civil Beat's Megan Degami is working on a special series and is here to talk a little bit more about it. Good morning to you, Megan.
Morning.
All right, so this is really in-depth. I've been impressed by your reporting, but I want to start off with why charter schools were developed in the first place, because I think a lot of people may not remember since it was 30 years ago.
Right, so charter schools are started really to foster community engagement. Families were looking for a new way to educate their kids. They're looking for hands-on learning, in some cases more Hawaiian language immersion and culture education. So charters are really started to respond to families' needs and really just offer a new way of education in Hawaii.
So it's a different way of educating kids outside of the regular traditional public schools, and also independent in a lot of ways from the Department of Education, right?
Right, so charter schools are public schools. They receive state funding, but they operate independently of the state education department, meaning that they have their own governing boards. They have a little bit more flexibility about what policies they set or what curriculum they have, and they sometimes offer more opportunities for community engagement through these different, forms of governance as well, and that's really what seemed to draw families in 30 years ago.
Okay, and even today, they're drawing in families, and you actually give the example of a school on the North Shore of Kauai as just opening, and a great option for a lot of kids out there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the numbers, because you kind of dug into the hard data of testing, and what did it find at charter schools? Right,
so charter schools, they score below the state average for reading and math in the annual standardized tests that kids have to take. But some proponents of charter schools say that yes, the standardized tests are one way to measure student achievement, but it's not the only way. And because charter schools were created to really, provide a new way of learning, there's a debate about whether standardized tests should be the best way to measure their achievement and progress.
And that's actually been one thing that's been really difficult about kind of looking at the progress of charter schools and the students who come from them, right? Because there's no real way to see how they progress or how successful they are, right?
Right, there's a lot of ways to measure their success. They do take, the standardized test the same as all the other kids, but some principals say it is hard to see, it's hard to compare charter schools to traditional DOE schools, because sometimes charter schools are bringing in kids who may have struggled in their traditional, public school or neighborhood school, and they're coming in grade levels behind. So you can't necessarily expect them to be at grade level or scoring proficient their first year at a charter school.
And they may be experiencing things and learning things in a different way that's kind of immeasurable, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so how popular are charter schools in Hawaii?
Right, so charter schools, they've been growing pretty steadily over the past several years. There's 40 charter schools across the state, the newest one being Namahana that opened on the North Shore of Kauai earlier this year. They are growing. They still make up a relatively small part of the state's student enrollment, but it is notable that they're experiencing continued demand because the state is seeing a declining birth rate and shrinking public schools in the DOE.
Still a lot of demand for those charter schools. All right, we're just scratching the surface of what Megan has reported, so I would recommend that you read the full article at civilbeat.org, or you can text 66866 to get the newsletter. Megan, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, Jelani.
Hey Grace, here's a look